In light of numerous actions taken by a number of bodies of the United Nations, which exhibit a deep anti-American bias, we have an executive order prepared for your attention that would withdraw the United States from the UN Human Rights Council, would withdraw the United States from the UNRWA, which is a refugee organization, and would also review American involvement in UNESCO, which has also exhibited anti-American bias. More generally, the executive order calls for a review of American involvement and funding in the UN in light of the wild disparities in levels of funding among different countries that, as you've expressed previously, is deeply unfair to the United States.
So I've always felt that the UN has tremendous potential. It's not living up to that potential right now. It really isn't, hasn't for a long time. It has, there are great hopes for it, but it's not being well run, to be honest, and they're not doing the job. A lot of these conflicts that we're working on should be settled, or at least we should have some help in settling them. We never seem to get help. That should be the primary purpose of the UN, the United Nations. And again, it's got great potential, and based on the potential, we'll continue to go along with it, but they got to get their act together.
What would they need to do to get their act together?
Well, they got to be fair to countries that deserve fairness. They have some countries, as you know, that are outliers, that are very bad, and they're being almost preferred as countries to those that do their job and are doing a good job. And they have to really, they're going to end up losing, a lot of countries, they're going to end up losing their credibility like other organizations, and then they're going to be nothing. The potential of the United Nations, and not everybody agrees with me on this, the potential of the United Nations is fantastic if properly run. So we'll see what happens.
My fellow Biafrans, I say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, depending from where you listen to the sound of my voice. This is the Biafra Superstars Media, and I'm holding it down. I say may God bless Biafra, and may God bless His Excellency Oyendo Mazenam Kanu. May God bless His Excellency, the Prime Minister of the United States of Biafra, His Excellency, ESN, Ekpa, Simon Njoku, for the job Simon is doing. Simon, I want to say we thank you, we appreciate you, we love you, because we know in your hands Biafra has come, in your hands Biafra will be safe, and in your hands, now that Biafra has come, the people of Biafra will rejoice. Above all, I say, may God bless Her Excellency, the Deputy Prime Minister of Biafra, USB, Her Excellency, Dr. Ngozi Orabueze, for the job she's doing. Madam, we say kudos to you, more grace to your elbow. Please ignore the naysayers, madam, please. These guys, they're making noise. Ignore the other side. We know what is right. We the Biafrans, we the intellectuals, we that understand in every government there must be a structure. There must be a blueprint followed. We are following you. We are following the structure of Simon Ekpa. And above all, the foundation laid down. We must follow it. Please ignore what those miscreants are doing, making noise. They are a small fish to fry. Fellow Biafrans, today, you heard from President Trump speaking about America moving away or pulling out from the UN. And also we heard Oyendo. Since 2022, UN spoke to Nigeria to release Nnamdi Kanu unconditionally and pay him some compensation. But till this day, they've been a toothless bulldog when it comes to a third world country like Nigeria. UN suddenly cannot bend Nigeria, can't make them to fold. Nigeria, a third world country, is going against the directives of UN. Today, I want to draw to the attention of Finland. That Finland, I've taken my time to do a research on you, the Scandinavian countries, and the Vikings from Finland and the rest. We now understand the history of the Vikings in Finland. Fellow Biafrans, the other time I spoke about, or I mentioned, that in the grave site of so many Vikings, in one of the wars they fought and they died in mass, there was a graveside dog. And in that graveside, their uniform, their armor worn in that war, their military regalia, there was an inscription of Allah on it. That tells you a lot. So today I took my time, even though I'm so busy, I will go straight to the point. I will not break down much of the analysis. I will drop this one down, but I promise you I'll be back over the week and I will go deeper as I love to do. But at this point, I want Finland to please learn from what is happening to the one they call General Christopher Musa, a Fulani man, an Islamic man with a Christian name. What a fallacy, and the rest of them. Today, he's been denied access to Canada for terrorism charges and the like. Today, we want to call on Finland to do what is right, because if you delay in taking these actions to release Simon Ekpa, if you delay Finland, left to me, as I've been saying for a while, I say we wash our hands off Finland and pitch our tents. As you can see, my people, before your eyes, my account has been attacked by the Zoom media, but we shall keep on fighting. You saw what happened just before your eyes. Account was shut down and locked, but I had to find a way to verify and get back to a new account. Fellow Biafrans, what you are seeing today, we want to call on Finland to do what is right. Make haste while the sun shines, because if you delay your move towards releasing Simon Ekpa, I've been saying this for a while, if it's left to me, I will wash my hands off Finland and pitch my tent on God's own country, America. And today, after this presentation, some of you might see why I have that notion, and I hope you will understand where I'm coming from. Yes, we love Finland. Yes, we love Simon Ekpa for saying that whatever we are doing is anchored on the shoulders of Finland, the blueprint of Finland. But from what you're about to see today, it will shock you. Lord have mercy. At this point, my people, without any much further ado, I want you to listen to the words from our Deputy Prime Minister when it comes to our Prime Minister, Mazi Simon Ekpa, and also a warning to Finland. If you're ready, let's go there. Watch this.
Of any indictment or anything, because we know our Prime Minister didn't do anything wrong. He is doing exactly what we are doing. All the killings that the Southeast and South delegitimized governors are doing, that is what our Prime Minister Simon Ekpa was preventing. That is what Nnamdi Kanu was preventing. And the whole world has seen how Finland took away our Prime Minister. And within that period, hundreds of innocent Biafrans have been murdered by Christopher Musa and Tinubu using the reintegrated terrorists that they imported into the Nigeria territory. That is what is going on. And that is something that Biafrans have risen up and said, no more. So we are still waiting for Finland to accuse our Prime Minister of anything. They've held our Prime Minister going to almost 3 months, 90 days. He did not commit any crime. But from what Finland has done, we have now discovered that is a history of what Finland is doing to suppress Christians, to suppress freedom of speech, and to destroy innocent Biafrans using the globalist agenda, which Finland is part of right now.
Madam, you are 100% right about this. There is a globalist agenda that Finland is upon right now. And I promise you all, at the end of the speech from our Deputy Prime Minister, I will expose Finland. I will tag this one, the Islamic nature of Finland. Before your eyes, you will see what Finland is made up of. And that will make you probably understand why they are pandering towards the Islamic country as Nigeria. You will listen, watch a video, and see for yourself the Islamic nature of Finland. Dr. Ngozi Orabueze, you're 100% right about this. Let's continue, and at the end, I will play those videos for you to now be the judge, after which I'll come back to wrap it up. Let's continue.
That is what Finland is doing. Prime Minister Simon Ekpa has not committed any crime. You put him away, now going to 3 months, because you partner with Nigerian state, a terrorist state, that that have very, very low score and record in human rights. Finland is now part of that. That is exactly what they're doing. How else could one explain holding our prime minister for almost 90 days without indicting him yet? You isolate him. You want to break him psychologically. And you think we are just going to sit down and watch you and your cohorts in Nigeria. Your cohorts in Nigeria, they will get it real hard. It's a promise. It's a promise. Because at the end of the day, we know this battle between Nigeria and Finland and Biafra, we are going to see how it's going to end up. So we heard that some of the items they took from the prime minister, they're returning them. They are yet to send out any indictment. The one that we saw, I think last week, where they now said that it has something to do with a charge on the use of a name like Masters of Law, something like that. We understood that that is not true. That there's no charge like that. Maybe some nonsensical press inside Finland, those that hate us and hate our prime minister, working inside Finland, they are the one that published that, and we're told to just neglect that. Because all of us were waiting on Monday for Finland to charge our prime minister for the Master of Law case. We didn't see anything. And again, what Finland is doing is unacceptable. We have those innocent Biafrans that they picked up with our prime minister. They are still in bondage in Finland. Those innocent individuals can still not use their bank account, can still not get a job, can still not do so many things inside Finland. And some of them, they have their name on the terrorist list by the Finland government. How can you put somebody's name in a terrorist list and you've not even indicted that person as a terrorist? What country does that? You've not gone through the normal process of law. You've not proven that these innocent Biafrans, that they are terrorists. You, Finland government, you went and put the name of these innocent Biafrans under the terrorist list. Why should you do that? And you think the world does not know what you are doing? You think Donald Trump does not know what you are doing? You've not charged somebody as a terrorist. Now you put their name anywhere they go in Finland, anything they seek for is being denied because the Finland government has put their name on the terrorist list without even indicting them.
Wow.
How can we say the world, we want to make the world a better place when we have country leaders that are criminals, criminalizing innocent citizens, and they are the heads of governments? And you think you will go free?
They won't go free, my Deputy Prime Minister. But at this point, fellow Biafrans, I want you to understand the Islamic nature of Finland. When you talk about the Scandinavian countries, you talk about the Vikings. There are prowess all across Europe, even to Africa. And I want you to know that just last week, I raised a topic that I found in the research, that in the military uniforms of some of these Vikings, there was an inscription written known as Allah. The God of Islam, Allah, was written there on their uniforms. I was baffled, I was taken back that how come Finland, of all countries, will be, found in such a strange situation where their military or those known as Vikings, we've heard about the stories. We've watched, read vast about the Vikings. But now we are finding out that when they were going to war, their uniforms, their armor had the inscription of Allah on it. Allah on it. So at this point, I want to share my findings, some of my findings with you guys. I'm still doing some work on this. And perhaps this will make you understand why Finland escaping to the loo of Nigeria. You will understand why the Nordic countries, even though they pretend they respect the rule of law, but when it comes to African countries like Cameroon and Nigeria, they are pandering. Norway is pandering to Cameroon the way Finland is now pandering to Nigeria. If you're ready, I will prove to you that the Islamic nature is also part of Finland. I will expose their Islamic nature. And this will blow your mind. If you are ready, let's go there. Watch this.
A startling new discovery reveals that some Vikings may have actually converted to Islam in lieu of the traditional Nordic gods like Odin and Thor. Researchers from Uppsala University discovered Viking funeral clothing embroidered with the word Allah, the Muslim god, and Ali, the first imam of the Shiite faith. The words were seen in a mirror image of the embroidery and were only hidden for so long because they were written in geometric patterns known as Kufic design. Researcher Anika Larson says, in the Quran, it is written the inhabitants of paradise will wear garments of silk, which along with the text band's inscriptions may explain the widespread occurrence of silk in Viking Age graves. Experts from Uppsala University plan to conduct DNA analysis on the remains in the graves to determine blood ties and geography.
Inshallah.
Dr. Umar, this is a question from the sisters' side. What are some books you may recommend on world history and Islamic history?
What are some books that I would recommend on world history and Islamic history? Well, this is usually how I answer that question. And when people ask me that question, I usually send them to a book by Ira Lapidus, Lapidus, Ira, I-R-A, which is called A History of Muslim Societies. And it's a beginning book. It's fairly large, and in my opinion, it's pretty good. It's not going to give you everything. It's not going to answer all your problems, but that's a pretty good beginning. To be honest, we have to write our own histories. We have to do that. That's a big task. And there are things in our history that you probably never imagined. Switzerland, for example. You know where Switzerland is, right? That beautiful little country where my grandfathers come from. In the mountains between Italy and Germany. Switzerland. Did you know that Muslims were in Switzerland in force for 150 years? Very interesting. How did they get there? Caliphate of Cordoba. The Caliphate of Cordoba. What? And what would they be interested in doing in Switzerland? Oh, they were smart people. And how did they do it? Sea power. Because Spain is always a sea power. Portugal is always a sea power. But the Muslims in Spain and Portugal, they controlled the Atlantic and the Mediterranean. And they built incredible ships. They built incredible ships. And why did they build such incredible ships? There were also ships of war. Vikings. The Vikings. And why did the Vikings even appear in history? Muslim Spain and Portugal. Because Muslim Spain and Portugal became so wealthy that they dried up the wealth of Northern Europe. This is pretty well proven in economic history. And countries like what is today Denmark and Norway and Sweden and England and Northern Germany and Holland, they became poor because nobody would go there anymore. It's like there's no profit. Merchants are always looking for profit. The merchants that are in Italy and France and elsewhere, they no longer want to go north. Because what do you get there? Sheepskin, flax, wood. You go to Spain and Portugal, all you have to do is pay jizya. You pay the jizya and you're protected by the state. And then you get gold and silver and silk and oranges and lemons and everything in the world. It's really amazing. This is true. And I could even tell you, because you had people at the University of Michigan who were the masters of this. I don't know if the one in particular is still alive. His name is Ehrenkreuz. Is he still alive? You know, Professor Ehrenkreuz. He was one of my companions. He was the person who worked on this. Okay, so this meant the Vikings have to come out. And the Vikings, you probably have seen movies about Vikings. Those are usually exaggerated. But the Vikings will come out. Where did the Vikings first go? Lisbon, Portugal. Great Muslim city. Great Muslim city. And they sack it because Lisbon had never been protected from the Atlantic because of the fact they didn't have any enemies on the Atlantic. And they sacked Lisbon, and they took out of it tons of goods and women and children as well. And then they come down to attack Seville. These are all Muslim cities, Muslim ports. And the caliph at that time, his name was Abdurrahman III. He said, he was building the Mosque of Cordoba. And he said, I won't put a brick on another brick until we get rid of these fire worshippers. He called them fire worshippers. He also called them Normans, Northmen, Nurman. They called them Northmans. They called themselves Northmen as well. He said, I won't do, he said, stop the mosque. He said, we will fight these people. We will defeat these people. We'll teach them a lesson. You don't do this to our cities. You want to trade with us? That's one thing. But you want to do this? No, we will teach you a lesson. And the great Maliki scholar of Cordoba at that time, who's one of our famous teachers, Ibn al-Habib, he said, you are the Khalifa. You know, he didn't say you can chew gum and walk at the same time. They didn't chew gum then. But he said that, you know, you can still build the mosque and you can still take care of the Vikings. And they declared jihad. And in 100 days, the Vikings were finished. Finished. And they were punished. And many of the Vikings became Muslims. And they were settled in Spain in a city that I visited called Jerez de la Frontera. Jerez de la Frontera, which we called in Arabic Sheresh. And it always remained a Scandinavian Muslim city. And there were Vikings in Denmark as well. And ambassadors went to Denmark to see who are these Vikings and how do they fight. Because they have these really fast ships that they use to attack. But what do they do with the women and children? Because they take lots of women and lots of children. We have to ransom them. In Islamic law, you must ransom the prisoner. All the women and children they've taken off to Denmark. We've got to get them back. This is also why the ambassador is going. We'll pay you gold. We'll get them back. But give back our children. Give back our women. Okay, so they go there. But also they go there to learn who are these people. And how do they fight? And one of the things they learn is that they have war boats. That's what you see in the movies, right? But they have barges. And the barges are where they put the women and children. The barges are where they put the gold and silver. Okay, so this means that they are actually not so, that they have vulnerability. Because the barges don't move very fast. And that means that they have to always protect their barges at sea. And so they say, then this is the way we'll deal with the Vikings. We will build ships that are as fast as their ships. And our ships will have cannons on the front, which they call nefalta. Nefalta means naphthalene cannons. They're cannons that use gassy oil. And you put fire to it and it explodes and it shoots out a ball of fire. And it will burn up their ships. And then on the back we will have archers with crossbows and with regular bows. And if you want to look at, you've seen how samurais have made swords? Samurai sword is incredible. We made swords that would have competed with that. We made arrows. We were really good at what we did. So they said, we'll have our archers and they will have so many arrows that they can fight for a whole week without stopping. And then we'll have boarding areas because we're going to conquer the Vikings at sea. We're not going to just drive them off. And then peace was made with the Vikings for about 16 years. The old king died. Many Vikings became Muslims during that time. The old king died. The new king said, the old king made the treaty. I didn't make the treaty. I don't agree. And so he came back, to maybe attack Lisbon and Seville or other cities. There are lots of cities in Spain and Portugal. But also they said, set up towers along the whole coast. And you can go there. I'd love to take you there. The whole Portuguese coast still has those towers. And the Spanish coast also has a lot of those towers. But they were really needed in the Portuguese coast. And these towers are so close to each other that they can send smoke signals, light signals, mirror signals. And they have a whole code to communicate. And then any time a Viking ship appears, you send the signals out, whether it is day or night, and we go out and get them on the sea. You've got to fight them on the sea. You cannot let them attack you on land. And so the Vikings come back. The first time when they attacked Lisbon, they had like 50 ships. The second time, they had almost 70. 70 warriors. 70 ships of warriors, of Viking warriors. And the Muslims attacked them at sea. And they burned half the fleet. And they took all their barges. And the rest of the fleets escaped. And they went into the Mediterranean. They attacked Morocco, Nadur. They attacked other places. Okay? And that is one of the most important battles in history. You remember that when you studied in school. You never heard about that, did you? But that is one of the most important battles in human history. And then those ships they will then take to Mallorca. All of the islands of the Mediterranean were Muslim islands. All of the islands of the Mediterranean embraced Islam even before Spain and Portugal. Mallorca, Menorca, Ibiza. Have you ever been to Ibiza? Ibiza. What word is Ibiza from? From Arabic. Yabisa. Dry island, Yabisa, Ibiza. And then they establish ships in Mallorca, and on that basis they go up to Switzerland from the Rhone River. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. We have got to write history. We've got to write history. We gave a lesson in Detroit, on African roots in America, African Muslim roots in America, and also pre-Muslim roots in America. And that's not a dream, that's not an illusion, that's historical fact. But why didn't we study that in our history books? We've got to write our own history books, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala.
My fellow Biafrans, now that you've seen the historical background about the Islamization of the Scandinavian countries, especially Finland and the rest, now you understand why they have this cordial relationship with the Islamic government of Nigeria. Even though the whole world are shouting that Nigeria is being Islamized, they don't care about it. They are still working with the Nigerian government. Hence, I say again, left to me, I would say we pack our load, our baggages, and move over and pitch our tent in God's own country, known as America. Because Finland has let us down. That they are holding our leader, despite they know the story, the history about the Biafran war. I've just painted this picture to show you that they also have the nature of an Islamized country. Look at the uniforms they're wearing. Back in the days, their dressing, their traditional dressing of the women. Look at the way they are dressing. And also of the Vikings. You will see the similarity when it comes to the hijab of the women and the rest of them with Islam. I don't hate Islam, but all I'm saying is we are not ready to be Islamized. Biafrans are largely Christians and traditional worshippers, I repeat. Thank you and God bless.
Yeah.
Check me out. Superstars Media. Lord Logan, Bloomington, Lord Logan, and it's wild Flora show. 1914 amalgamation is what we dying for. 3 nations to 1 nation, ever since annihilation. Nepotism is nonsense. You and you, clap your hands. Biafra gonna come, clap your hands. Biafra, Oduduwa, we're free now. Freedom is gonna come, we're free now. Yeah.